to match 4 of the North American Strikers Academy week 3. You might recognize me. I'm back. You can't get rid of me. And here we are in for HMG versus ADR, a couple of acronym teams loading up on this Clarion game. Fighter flight start for everyone, rocking out a little bit of extra speed. I'm joined by Cardsmith. Cardsmith, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Not as great as the players in this game with the one barrier going down already, but I'm excited to see these two comps in action. I think more of a traditional comp on the right-hand side with Wallaby, General Twee, and Bertram, and then a little bit of the Rune goalie special from Tragic. I know he likes to pick a lot with the momentum boots, but he's got to be worried about this goal being scored on him as General Twee, with the strikes in the era primary, able to get it done. And I think that's how these first couple points are going to go. But as the cooldown awakenings are going to be picked up by Tragic, I think maybe the creations will be out there long enough so that way those scoring opportunities don't happen as much.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a little bit for the Rune goalie to scale up and become oppressive. Until then, just kind of hanging out really tough into the era Asher. Just got big funnel comp coming out from ADR, and it's working. You know, Wallaby at incredibly low stagger, but still able to get both the barriers. It's going to take a little bit for, I think, this Rasmus to get online as well. Is definitely sitting back, having to do a lot of work. Get a little scary there on the defense, but obviously Rasmus, an incredible brawler, has a lot of potential, and gonna have to see if he can scale up. Right now, though, Twee and Wallaby both with flips. Incredibly scary. Wallaby uses his right there in that mash. Gets banished. Could be KO'd here. Almost gets it from the flip, but not quite. And because he stayed alive, was able to push it through. Tragic trying to leave a secondary pillar, but Wallaby is a little bit too big. Canceling that out, getting it through, and putting ADR up 2-0 right now.
Yeah, it was a little awkward. I think Tragic wanted to use the secondary, obviously, but realized that they were going to teleport all the way to the opposite side of the map, so it was a little bit scary putting the core just in the middle of nowhere with that banish in order to get the kill, but fortunately can't confirm it, and as a result, lose the point here. Right here, a barrier taken down straight away for HMG, but double barrier potential from Wallaby can't quite get there, and the flips are built up on red side, so that's for an explosive point, but not as explosive as that kill, as General Twee just gets taken off the map. Power play starts up for HMG, but nothing starting yet on this power play, and Wallaby just keeps the core on the left-hand side, and as a result, nothing really is gained from either side from this power play.
Yeah, bit of a slow go. Tragic getting the orb once again. Just Bertram on the signature Dubu. The Lion does not care about your meta reads. He'll be rocking out on the Boo no matter what. And it's looking like an iron wall. This guy's not letting anything go. Meanwhile, second barrier down. And for both teams, a little bit of action from both sides. And Zay with a great strike ward, the beam not quite catching the core right there, it looks like. Actually relevant era change, perhaps. You know, the beam not coming out as quickly. We do see Tweet on era. Been a big fan even before the change. Was playing era a lot, but I think even with the 0.3 second beam coming out, still beneficial to the character quite a bit. And as we can see, able to beam Wallaby, who gets both barriers and just, you know, a ton of pressure. Looking a little low on stagger, but still has. They have so much momentum right now as the ball rolls in. Oh no!
Yeah, that's just an unfortunate goal, and it just wins the set, right? Tragic was just trying to do some really cool play with the banish, getting some damage down, but as a result, loses the position of the core and can't quite get there with any primaries. Really important set here in terms of awakenings, nothing too powerful, and that's why you see the Among Titans picked up right away. Just gains a bunch of speed and a bunch of size for their teammates, and the Timeless Creator already picked up by Rune. That's one duration creation already there, and everyone else just getting some nice stats and some nice projectile distance for Juno.
Yeah, I'm looking at, of course, Twee first picking that Among Titans. Great for both of his teammates. Really, and obviously the speed. Big Twee is just a big fan of speed. Taking that. I almost would have liked to see Stacks to deny Zay from getting any relevant speed because he gets to pick up stacks for free, whereas obviously he doesn't really want among Titans. But I think the value of buffing the size of both your teammates could outweigh that in general. Tragic with the Timeless Creator, I think, is also incredibly relevant. Bigger pillars, longer pillars, etc. It's going to make defending a whole lot easier, and Wallaby on bulk up. Just more stats. You know, Asher is a stats character. We haven't seen too much of it yet, but we could see some explosive damage come out. Oh no! Bertram having a little bit of a lag spike, losing second barrier. And now we're on open net for HMG.
Yeah, Tragic gets the orb yet again. Really hard to deny it from the rune, but no offense as a result. Bertram able to put down the Tofu Fortress in order to try to get something going, but General Tweez getting struck back by Zay and Doxy. Is able to start the corner offense with the flip, but Doxy's trying to get some explosive slimes going. Don't quite get there yet. But as the core is getting past both sides, Bertram decides to move up to try to get something going. The banish means that Tragic has to put down the secondary in order to save the barrier, and now General Tweed trying to pass it to Wallaby while Wallaby goes for the KO. Doesn't quite get there. Tragic has to expend flip for now, but it seems like they're slowly whittling away at Tragic's cooldowns as this offense goes.
Yeah, the longer it goes, the more pressure you're putting on the Rune, who is not going to have enough CDs to defend against it all. Wallaby getting the giant orb, able to push through, and just like that, slapping a red core into the bottom side of the net. Tragic looking like he did not have any pillars or anything to catch it. It's going to be an awfully long point, but a first point going to ADR.
Yeah, I think this map is much more favorable for them. Rune can just put a pillar in one of the side streets, and then it just sits there for eternity, just like that. And as a result, Dox is able to get the offense going and get a barrier right away. Zay with the full stacks on stacks, just ready to go with all the speed, trying to positionally beat Wallaby and Tweed. And you can see it here. Bertram's actually facing some pressure this set with all the stacks. And even though with the flip, maybe they're not, because they're just sitting there, not doing anything. Struck for the first time in like 20 seconds with flip. Decides to burn it here just to make sure it's cleared out. But no barriers going down right away.
Yeah, I want to hard agree with what you said about the Rune here on this variant, especially with Rune goalie. You know, when you're playing Rune midfield, you can obviously clog up the lane with the pillar each time, but you just have so much more work to do than just defending. Whereas here, goalie, you get to push up, drop a pillar on offense, and it's on an 8-second cooldown. So you know, you're not super pressed for losing that CD if you're helping keep it up. And that's what we've been seeing Tragic do almost this entire time. There it is again, and just, you know, he doesn't have to think about how to use the pillars to get barriers. That's his forward's job. And there, Doxy jumping in, slamming a slime right into the net, getting a point on the board for HMG. Obviously, like we said, that map favored them a whole lot, so we're gonna have to see how they adapt to each of the other variants. But HMG seemed much more alive and much more offensive at that point.
Yeah, and as you can see here, I think it will be sort of the same story here as long as the middle is expanded all the way with the special expanse. But right now, no barriers getting taken down for HMG. One finally will go down here as Wallaby uses everything, but can't get that second barrier quite down. Or still staying on the left side though. General Tweed, we've seen the strikes last set, able to delay the point for so long, but Bertram needs to find these clears, and Wallaby needs to stay up in order to get this barrier. General Tweed takes a lot of damage though, has to go back for the orb and the flip. He tries to get a clear going on here, but again, another rune portal up just means he has to clear a round, and he's happy to do so, but it just means that every single point's going to go into overtime, and the core speed from Doxy and Tragic is going to be real here.
Yeah, really, we're just seeing this incredible timeless creator value for Tragic, locking that down. But Zay, with a great death touch from across the barrier, able to catch the one spot that Bertram wasn't covering, get the barriers down. Tweed burns his flip. That's a massive resource for HMG that they now don't have to worry about. Takes a lot of damage from the NATO, looking a little low. Things are dangerous for Zay here, able to camp the orb, get it. Gets flipped too. this is looking like HMG's opportunity. They have to get through the wall, get past everything. Zay has to stay alive if he wants to use the flip, but doesn't need it. Able to tap it right in before getting knocked into the corner, putting another point on the board for HMG. They are getting ready to bring it back this set.
Yeah, this variant is going to be a lot more damage, and one pump up for the era means that Wallaby could probably one-shot someone if they stand in the goo for a little too long. Zay will use the core flip right away, so no energy for them in case Bertram wants to expend any cooldowns for damage. Zay picks up the orb knowing that they're going to need the evade and the barrier as well. Zay lagging out actually a little bit here, but with the stacks on stacks, able to reposition themselves and only lose one barrier, and tries to go for the score here, but has to be careful of their health as they go for the all-in there. Unfortunately, can't quite get it with the slimes, and has to reposition, but the core's not really moving to the other side. Finally moves there, but Wallaby just can't capitalize. It feels like every time the core is just on the left side, it just goes back toward the right.
Yeah, it's the pressure, especially by the offense that Tragic's able to exert here, is getting really dangerous for ADR. Able to get the second barrier right there. The net is open. They can start bringing it back this set. Have 2 more points to score. We've got to start with 1, but HMG has been looking on fire this set. And Doxy with a great strike to the top corner. Bertram looks like he's lagging out a little bit, unable to catch it there. But going to be putting HMG on the set, tying the game, and here's able to pick up something good. A lot on the board. I'm looking at Might of Colossus, heavy impact maybe. We could see some primetime even. He's been really fast that entire set, which was such a huge impact. Taking that size, going to be getting a little bit bigger, but that does mean that primetime is going to be slipped past to General Twee. It's going to make his life a lot harder, you know, nice size, what if I shrunk you? That sort of thing, but extra special on Doxy, and heavy impact on Tragic, who has been going for these banished pillar KOs, looking for that damage. He's going to be putting out a lot more, and depending on the variant, I think will have a pretty big impact. But so far, this game has really felt like, oh, the impact's right there. And the difference between a more offensive goalie pick and the melee goalies, where Bertram is able to hold it down for a while, but eventually the pressure being exerted by Tragic is too much, and he has enough to hold everything that ADR is putting up, especially in that last set. We'll have to see if something changes this set, or if ADR is able to coordinate their offense better, but so far I think the pillars that Tragic is pushing up are just changing the game for them.
Yeah, General and Twee attacking really well though. It just feels like they're everywhere and using the primary when they need to use the primary, and it's just constantly up and available. Wallaby has to be careful of the KO. Luckily, DI's in the right direction in order to not get killed there. But look at General Twee. I mean, with just the Dubu wall, able to just constantly contest 2 characters at once, even with abilities coming out. Bertram uses the Summer Assault to keep the core still for a second, and Zay tries to get around General Twee in order to get the barrier, but doesn't quite get there initially, gets there eventually, and is stacking up the stacks on stacks a lot. Almost halfway there now with the stacks on stacks means that the rest of the set, if they don't get KO'd, is going to be very impactful, but they're getting low, and with the beam from Era means that Dubu's going to go for the kill, almost gets scored on, but doesn't need to use the flip. Zay's just trying to get any sort of HP going, but does get KO'd, and as a result loses all those stacks. Pretty big impact for these later points.
Yeah, but they're just... Tragic has been so disciplined with his pillars and ability usage, knowing that the ball is going to bounce off and glide right in front of the barrier there, doesn't drop a pillar. You know, been doing that a couple times, and every saved pillar is another pillar that you can use for defense. Obviously the barriers are down now, you know, doesn't quite matter here, but still, just every opportunity to save a CD on goalie is going to be nice. And Zay with the ball, looking to push it forward. Bertram has a flip. They have to get through that. Burned right there. Wallaby uses his, but shut down by the banish. Jumping in, trying to push through, and they're able to catch the ball on the cross, putting it in right there. This is going to be a game that goes the distance. Another long point going in the favor of ADR. They're finally able to break through the rune, and they're going to have to do that a couple more times. It did not look easy, but I think on this map, they might have an advantage, especially because, as you mentioned, stacks reset on Zay forever means that he is going to be sitting on a not particularly helpful awakening for a good portion of the set.
Yeah, unfortunately threw up all the pancakes off the side of the penalty box, but is able to get the double barrier here. And yeah, you can just see how much easier it was. I mean, last set had multiple flips being expended, and Zay was killed at some point, but it didn't really affect anything until the end. And getting the kill there on Bertram means that Zay has an easy kill plus flip plus goal combination that results in them getting the second point pretty easily here.
Yep, super well played by Zay. Back up to 80 stacks now, with 78 on the end of that point. Now still building them up, stacking up slower this patch than they were before. And I feel like he's really feeling it right now, because before, these long points would yield something like, you know, boom, 150 stacks already, like instantly, you've made it. But, you know, taking a little bit longer to get up there, definitely a big change. But once they're fully online, I feel like it's going to be a completely different game for HMG, who, you know, have the momentum here, just scored that last point, looking to get something done here on the offense. But this map seems incredibly favored for ADR, as the Dubu is able to just hold it in these pockets, and Wallaby gets to get in there and get some pretty nice double barriers. Things are looking tough for Tragic on the defense, as, you know, what do you do with Asher in your face, you know?
Yeah, and you can't really do anything as Wallaby gets the excellent strike off the Tofu Fortress push. And unfortunate variant, I think, for HMG. Obviously, Tragic wants these corners, like on this map, where he can put the barrier up and it covers the entire barrier. Doxy almost dies to the Maelstrom, but doesn't quite get there. And a barrier is lost as a result of Doxy not being there. Tragic's trying to get some cheeky kill on Wallaby, but Wallaby's able to expend the flip and the ultimate in order to get the double barrier. And now a pretty important point, as Bertram unfortunately loses the one barrier, but holds on for the second. And if they can get the score right here, that just means that you're advantaged in the next draft, and that means it's just that much harder for Tragic to get the amount of awakenings that he needs to win. Bertram, in a crazy flip sequence, fortunately can't track the core and has to use the ult early in order to not get the core scored on. But Wallaby is just on the bottom side and gets banished and gets killed as a result, and Bertram's gonna have to hold here.
Yeah, we see the 3v2 right here. Tragic pushing up, dropping pillars, completely blocking that top lane. Nothing going through there. Wallaby able to come back. Power play, not able to find anything there, but Zay rushing in, has the stacks online. This is their chance. If they want to seal out this set, they have to. But Bertram, with the flip, doesn't quite make it. Could have shot in there in the middle, taken the goal, as there's no one there to defend, but unable to. Zay trying to dribble, looking for anything, but Twee and Bertram are just holding it down, passing between each other. A big Summer Assault blocking that. But oh, the wall doesn't come out in time. The core speed is too quick, and the Juno Slime will be sending it in. Now we're going to a 0.5 on this side streets variant, which is just so, as we mentioned before, so great for Tragic on the rune pick. Gonna be a little bit harder without Doxy, but still, this is looking like an HMG favored point.
Yeah, you can see, even with two people, they have to expend everything in order to just get the one barrier. Wallaby might have the ult up, but luckily Tragic didn't get the secondary fully formed, and as a result loses the second barrier. Zay now fully stacked up, all those pancakes feasted upon, just trying to get to the other side with the core, but Wallaby and General Twee just keep getting the strikes, and the Maelstrom confirms the goal. General Twee and Bertram, even though it seemed impossible, they ended up holding out and getting the 2 points and closing out the set.
Yeah, a great Maelstrom right there. Kind of like the rune pillars, Maelstrom just able to push through one of those lanes, get through that corner, and here Bertram picking up the twin drive. 2 rolls on this guy. On the fight or flight start, could just be a deny in general, not letting Juno or anyone else pick up the twin drive. You know, being able to refresh that. I believe fight or flight gives both charges of your secondary back, so incredibly dangerous to have on a fight or flight start. Not letting that go down. Tragic picking up Reptile Remedy, pretty interesting. Zay getting size. That's going to be incredibly significant. Now sitting at 122 power and is a lot bigger. not able to win that pass set, but you know, with this extra size, I think their offense is going to be so much better, and it's going to be easier to like rack up these stacks, all that sort of thing. Here, we just see a complete cascade of abilities come out from ADR, trying to push it through this open net here. HMG has been having some really impressive holds, able to layer their strikes incredibly well. You know, Rune and Juno, both characters that rely on creations, don't have a lot of like big anti-stuff melee abilities, so being good with these strikes is going to be exactly what they need to try and hold on. And here though, Flip in the corner is going to be sending it in. Hard to defend against that. Again, no super strong melee abilities to just block that out. Going to be difficult to deal with. 1 point to ADR. Wallaby has a flip as well. Is going to be using it for that second barrier. Really well done. Going to be sniping that out. And here, just a complete cascade from ADR. 1 point away from sealing this one out. Exactly what you would expect after watching the first point. Just, it's looking like they've hit the power spike that they need, and they're starting to dominate these points. Though this is definitely an HMG favored situation on this variant, but not after both barriers go down. That's going to be really, really tough. Wall will be banished, but oh no! The goal is left unattended. Bertram attributed with the game-winning point. That's going to be an ADR victory. Complete domination that last set, but unfortunately, going to be going in right there. Hate to see it that way, but ADR taking it. HMG almost bringing it back, doing really well throughout that second set and just holding on the whole time. But the 277 redirects from Twee don't lie. That guy was moving so quickly, covering so much space, and helping enable Wallaby to get the 6 goals, 1 assist, and 144 redirects. That's some good brawling. You know, today I'm going to lock Asher. I'm going to sit in there, and I'm going to press my primary. It's going to work. I really liked HMG's everything they had going on, especially on defense with the Rune, but it just wasn't able to hold up to everything that Asher can put up. So, unfortunate. Not quite what you want to see if you're an HMG fan, but that is only game 1, so hey, stay tuned for game 2. We will see you then. Back, everyone. We've got HMG versus ADR, game 2 coming at you live. I'm here now, joined by AJ Cannon. How's it going?
Not too bad. It's a fine day for some Omega Strikers, and do enjoy seeing some teams duking it out here, especially on Taiko Temple, the map of many drums. Wallaby Yankster, though, taking a ton of damage off the start of this play. Nothing too major just yet, no death, but very close to it. But does take a barrier, actually really nice dash into strike there, but the triple take is going to take another on the other side of the map, and to another one barrier, while Wallaby is almost dying.
Yeah, having to grab an orb to get back, and here we're looking at a built different Super Surge start, both Tragic and Doxy taking the Super Surge. Actually, I'm a big fan of this Era goalie pick. We've been seeing a lot of people talking about it. Here it is with the beam changes, able to come back, just come out so fast, and kind of force Twee into an awkward position with Juno and Era taken. Probably not a great time to pick Luna. I wouldn't pick Luna on this start on this map, but now rocking the Finny. Slick kicks Finny coming to a Taiko Temple near you, and here we see ADR struggling to get through this one last barrier, but HMG able to score with the flip. Zay Forever catching that out clear, putting it in the bottom corner, and putting 1 point on the board.
Yeah, investing a core flip very wisely there, held it for just long enough, and then made use of it in the end. Sometimes it's tempting to save that core flip. It's the 50-50. You have a chance, but I think it's well done there by Zay to actually just go ahead, use the core flip, secure the goal. Don't worry about the energy economy too much because you can psych yourself out. They do also take a barrier off the back of the play. The big finish there interrupted by a slime, but in the end it is still going to get one, and that Era NATO was amazing, forcing out a core flip and getting a kill. Really nicely done by Tragic there. The triple take, though, from General Twee in the midfield there, doing a lot of work, even as Twee is taking so much damage. The goalie orb going to be picked up there to save a little bit, but the unfortunate drum bounce is going to mean that the score stays on the left side of the field for so long. The rebound is caught by Doxy as well on the right. Air NATO comes out as well. Tragic has really been on point with these, but really nicely done by Wallaby there to secure the one barrier. Now, the goal is open only on one side of the field here. Can they secure it? No. Zay forever gets the intercept. They run forward. Doxy with a core flip on the top side here. Bertram as well with his own, so may potentially be able to use that on the defense. If it gets there, though, it's not going to. Wallaby putting it into the goal with a rebound from Twee.
Yeah, dashing in, cutting right in between Tragic and Doxy, putting it in. 1 point on the board for both teams now, tied up. And it looks like we're in for quite the long game, if the last game was any indication. Going every point just going incredibly long here now. Kind of the same story. We're seeing a bit of a different situation with, actually a bit of the same situation with the goalies last game. Tragic on the rune, being able to defend well in the corner and push up here. Same thing. The beam on Era, again, just really nice in the corner for winning interactions. Not as great as Dubu, not as great as even the pillars from Rune, but still doing a nice job. And just Tragic's forward presence is so pronounced here. HMG taking both barriers. Now they have to go and put it in, but I think Tragic was a big help. And Doxy actually jumping in, cutting off Twee. The pass from Bertram, not able to get it, sending it to the bottom corner there.
Yeah, really nice control throughout the entirety of that point from Heavy Metal Gundam there. They lost control for just a second, but they got it back so quickly. Almost a great hook from Zay there to hook the Dubu goalie away from the core, but Bertram was able to get there on the defense. A lot of damage there onto Doxy, but a great dodge on the triple take, but also the double barrier. Wallaby putting it in as well. From this is all right, this is fine, to instantly being scored on in about 3 seconds flat. Really nice setup there from Atlas's Diversified Resume.
Yeah, holy mole. Just game, entire point flipped on its head right there. Bit of a scary situation, obviously. You know, Ben talked about the Era goalie a little bit and how it's pretty, doing well, has, with the beam changes, a much better defensive profile. Still is Era. And, a double barrier with an Asher on top of you is still going to hurt a lot. So there we saw it. Taking us to a 0.5 here, Tragic close to a flip. We're going to have to see if HMG can respond in kind with maybe a quick point themselves, or if this is going to be another overtime banger.
Yeah, they are looking to make it one, though. We are not quite tied in barriers, but I'm sure that HMG is trying to get that last barrier there. Bertram, though, with the core flip on the defense, might even opt to use... They're going to be using the somersault there. Stalls the point out for just a second. Wallaby very low on the right side of this map. The longer this goes, the higher the chance of that death happening, but does pick up an orb and saves himself for a little bit longer. The pendulum swing not able to get it through Bertram here, who is bouncing off the drums, and we are about into overtime now. Pass from Bertram back down to Twee. The card hits Zay, but doesn't do too much damage just yet. Pendulum swing with slime combo is really nice for speed, but doesn't get anything done just yet. It is so unfortunate for HMG. They're just not able to get through Bertram here on this Dubu pick, just defending really well.
Yeah, the stalwart protector, Big Dubu, is just not letting anything go through. Not even there. It looked like it was one barrier, but not even the core speed can stop. That's one barrier finally, but Dubu with the flip. I keep calling him Dubu instead of Bertram. It's just, they're the same guy at this point. Zay looking a little low, having to pick up an orb on this defense here, but also close to a flip. Gonna be huge for this point if he can burn Bertram's flip and Twee's flip. A lot of energy on the side of ADR here, but actually uses it to try and KO Wallaby. Unfortunately goes wide, but Bertram's flip is burned. Now Twee only one with the flip online here. Wallaby down as well. HMG is pushing out here, trying to get as much momentum as they can. Doxy close to a flip, but again, Twee uses it here, gets it out of the corner, and now HMG, it's just so close to getting this barrier. It's so tough. The flip comes out and gets it. Now they have to get through the Dubu on the open net.
Yeah, they do have to, and I mean, you can see Wallaby as well there with that emote, the Atlas. It's a Dubu instead of an Atlas, but the same thing, stopping these cores so many times. It is so difficult, even with the slimes coming out, the pendulum swings, but they're just not quite connecting. Tragic's playing up, which is a bit of a risk, but with that core flip, it is so tempting. One nice pass from a forward back to Tragic here, when he's in the right position, can spell the end of this set. Because, again, this is 0.5 here. We are in overtime. The cores are red from the slimes. The log is amazing. Wallaby Gangsta bouncing off the drum there. The slime goes down to the bottom, but Twee is there as well. Zay passes up to Doxy, goes down to the bottom. Pendleton comes out, but Somersault is better. Zay back up to the top again. The Bewitching Beam, but the Tofu Fortress countered. Core flipping out of the big finish, but actually gets a bit of a bad angle there. Almost an own goal there, but a nice tornado early pop there does save that. Wallaby bounced off the drum there, and Doxy's the one to pick it up. Nicely played by both teams there, but in the end, just Zay Forever knocking the Asher out of the way so Doxy could get to that. Really nicely done.
Yeah, we've been seeing that a lot out of Doxy, just on this Juno pick, able to jump in and snipe out goals that otherwise seem impossible, which is really nice for how this team is functioning, where they do a lot of three-man defense to kind of supplement these more offensive goalie picks. Here, we see in draft, Zay Forever picking up a second size awakening, now going to be built different and big fish on the field. Massive fella. Other things of importance, Orb Rep picked up by Tragic. It could be big for generating more energy, especially with how important these flips have been in that first set. It seems like getting more energy, more flips is going to be really relevant, and it's if they can flip better than ADR, which I think, especially Tragic, I've been really loving his offensive flips. He is a goalie that flips early, which I think is really appreciated, especially for this team and the offense. I think they have a great shot with this Orb Rep.
Yeah, they do have a lot of potential to gather a lot of orbs there. But another thing I want to highlight is that ad rush pickup to deny the Asher. Really nicely done from Doxy on that one. As well, we have General Twee looking very low there. Zay Forever having the clip gonna use it there. Doxy getting the kill, getting that ad rush reset. Usually don't think of Juno as a killer, and I was thinking more for the deny, but ad rush, if you do get the kills, is very powerful. Doxy basically has the entire kit up, gonna use the ultimate there, gonna get the pass from Zay with the core flip in front of the goal, with the Aranado as well. Everything used, and it is enough. It took so much to get it done. It was Aranado, core flip, pendulum swing, and the Juno jump as well, but does get it done, does give HMG the 1.1 set lead, and that is a nice place to be in this game.
Yeah, always appreciated. You know, you win the first set, you win the first point of the next one. You know, it just keeps rolling. Obviously, don't want to get too comfortable, especially because Wallaby is rushing in, looking to get that second barrier. Already clipped the first one, but here it seems like HMG just has a lot more control here, and with the Juno here and the Era especially, so much speed able to come out. They're having trouble getting through the Dubu, getting the barriers, and with that barrier down, all of a sudden ADR has a great opportunity here, but I think the longer the points go on, the more opportunities HMG has, and the more opportunities they get, obviously, the better their chances are looking.
Yeah, it's almost a weird win condition of getting a kill on this Juno to get the resets for so much more core control, because it's such an evenly matched game otherwise. You kind of have to get something to make it uneven. Zay Forever looking very low, and that might be the uneven thing for ADR to get. Core flip, though, really nice counter flip by Tragic. Brilliantly done, not being too conservative with that one, just letting it rip, and I think that was a great decision there. Doxy jumping up to the top around the triple take, not going to happen. Bounce off the drum. The slime interception. Strike warning away from Twee. Nicely done.
Yeah, just going to throw that in, snipe it out there. It didn't look like Bertram or Twee were ready for that. And HMG going up 2 points, 1 point away from winning a second set. If you thought one set, 1 point up was good, you're going to want to get a load of this. You got to feel great in this situation. Doxy with the flip. Zay also with the flip. Might want to use these flips now, yeah, on the defense. Able to get more energy from their Orb Rep goalie here, right there. And just now both flips down. Things have changed. The economy is completely different. Bertram with the flip. Looks like that's going to be tough to deal with, but that's going to be Wallaby going down right there. A power play for HMG. They're gonna want both barriers here, but it's going to be tough getting through Bertram.
Yeah, but they do get it in the end, and that is actually a kill this time going on to Doxy. And we see the core going to the other side. Wallaby triple take, both kind of General Twee and Spirit with that triple take. They do manage to get the barrier there. The core flip on Twee, the triple take as well. They're running up to try and get this done. but Slime comes out. Doxy on the intercept, pendulum swing as well. The card comes out really nicely from Twee. The air Nado Wallaby down to the bottom, but the pass from Tragic cuts so narrowly around that Asher. Very risky, but does get the job done. Triple take defense is really nice. So is the somersault. Tragic passing up to the top. Zay with the dribble off the top. The Tofu Fortress was still not used up to that point, so that's used now. The Death's Touch from Zay used. Pendulum swing gets the Asher out of the way. Has the core flip. Gonna use in front of the goal. And with Doxy jumping overhead as support, but not even necessary. Zay gets it done on his own, taking a 3-0 sweep this time from a 5th point to a 3-0 sweep. Looking really good for Heavy Metal Gundam, especially when they lost that first game.
Yeah, they want to seal this one out quickly, and looking at this draft, I'm really curious to see what... sorry, I forgot about Bulk Up. No longer curious. Bam, Brawler picks Bulk Up first. A tail is old this time. That's going to be a ton of stagger. A great deny from the Asher. A great pickup in general. Bertram picking up the team player. Actually, all the core speed draft has hit the building. We're seeing Hotshot and team player on Twee and Bertram respectively. The team player, I think, is so relevant here. Is going to make getting these out clears a lot nicer. Doxy, though, picking up the 1-2 punch. That's 1-2 punch Juno. We've been seeing the overtime Slimes pick up some goals on their own. Now with the 1-2 punch, we're going to be seeing a lot of damage come out, and more importantly, we're going to be seeing a ton of core speed. Might be able to catch ADR off guard here.
Yeah, and with that address as well, but doesn't happen if the kills go the other way. Nice pickup by ADR there. Wallaby almost dead, but not quite. Picks up 1 barrier and a kill. Gonna be 3 seconds until Zay is back on the field. The barrier's still not gotten. Really nice power play defense there from the side of HMG. The Death Touch is nice to get it back in the corner where Rasmus does kind of shine, but Doxy respawned and already almost dead. Wallaby was looking for that kill flip. There still is, but takes a lot of damage. Is now walking to the other side. Use the core flip, gets the barrier. Almost dies for it, but again, not quite. The big finish is going to take it. General Twee effectively full healing Wallaby by getting that goal. Doesn't have to worry about dying anymore. And of course, goals are pretty nice.
Yeah, can't argue with that. Wallaby at 2 prizefighter stacks there. Gonna be staying alive. Gonna be enjoying scoring that goal before overtime. Gotta feel nice. And, you know, it all starts with the trickle. ADR is down this game, but if they're able to win this set, that's a 1 draft, and that's an opportunity to pick up a whole lot that they're definitely going to enjoy. Here, though, something I've noticed is that Zay plays, you know, has played midfield in NASA for, I believe, at 1 or 2 seasons, a substantial amount of time, and I think it really informs his gameplay. He is a brawler that stands back a lot and looks to catch clears as opposed to trying to force anything, which I really appreciate. It works really well, especially against the team player here, but also with Doxy, who is much more willing to jump in on the Juno and try and score these goals. Big KO coming out from the Slime downtown. Doxy now with the ad rush proc, going to be trying to push up. Wallaby is next. That's a double KO. Double power play. The wall is going to shut down that lane, but Tragic with the flip, looking to get active. Bertram has one as well. Doxy jumping in, but Zay is able to catch it on the bottom. Confirm it with the pendulum swing. Bertram just used the summer assault, unable to stop that core, and that's another point for HMG.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate. Bertram with the somersault into getting hit by that pendulum swing is basically self-stun into hit stun, and there's not really much you can do even when you have that core flip. And the pendulum swing as well, Zay Forever coming out blazing into this next point. Core flip used by Tragic to get it just past Wallaby Youngsta. And we see the triple take used, though, on the bottom there with the card from Fini. General Twee really putting in a great class on what to do as Fini in some of these situations. Just find those angles, surprise your opponents, and hit cards from out of nowhere that hit directly into the barrier. Always keep those cards positioned in such a way that if they hit something, it's going to make stuff happen, not just nothing. And just really nicely played by that. Cannot commend enough that kind of play, because it can be difficult, but also can be difficult killing with the Dubu wall found by Bertram to kill this Juno. Really nicely done, but Zay Forever keeping the momentum up, saying, doesn't matter if we're a player down, I will play this offense for 2 players. Gonna sacrifice my health bar, but now the time has passed. Juno's back on the field, and the power play got effectively nothing done. The core flip even forced out from Bertram here. Good defense as well from Tragic there. They get the barrier. Doxy down the bottom there. The drum dribble from Tragic getting it forward. The Aeronado down to the bottom. Back up to Tragic on the top. The Witching Beam comes out. So does the pendulum swing. Not enough to get the goal. The triple take is not going to be enough to get the kill here, but Zay Forever back up to full HP. Doxy trying to get the intercept here, trying to get things done. Wallaby trying to get this barrier on the other side of the map. Will get it with the pass splitter as well. Invested pass up to Doxy off the drums, off the Tofu Fortress. Really nice by Bertram to put that forward to keep the score on the other side. Long shot from Doxy, not enough. Core flip from General Tweed, also not enough. The teams are going back and forth so much. It feels like the core is going to go in any second now, but they're just holding on.
Yeah, not relenting here. ADR has the control, trying to get in, but it's just not going. Tragic and Doxy close to a flip here. Going to be big for their offense as they've got all three men on their side. But a crazy bounce off the whiplash, off the drum, is going to be sending it in. Zay Forever bringing us to a match point here, one away from securing this game for HMG and bringing us to a game 3.
Yeah, I mean, rip the sleep schedules, but also I do like me some Omega Strikers, so the more the merrier. Pendulum Swing comes out, going to take a ton of damage on Wallaby Gangsta there. Doxy potentially looking for the kill flip angle there, but is just walking around the middle for now. Card hits Zay, but the barrier does go down. General Tweet also low on health. Wallaby Gangsta playing very close to the edge to try and get the kill. Pass Splitter also comes out, but doesn't get the kill. Gets the barrier in the end at least, so it's not invested for nothing. But you do want to get the kill if you invest that much. Triple Take does hit Zay, so that is a debuff on this Rasmus. Potential kill angle, but not found here by ADR. Bertram playing up as well with this narrow channel created by that Tofu Fortress. Triple Take comes out to Tragic, passing it along the bottom. Tragic playing a bit of a dangerous game in front of that Asher, but does pull back just before the setup is complete. Bertram gets a great clear around Doxy and Zay Forever, and the game just goes to this again, this tied position. The core flips come out. Again, this game is so close, so volatile. Anytime it feels like so many things can happen, but then it's just countered on the other side. These players just are inside of each other's heads.
Yeah, absolutely. And here we're seeing both the barriers taken were on the same side, so we're not seeing a whole lot of play in the bottom side. It will come down here, kind of float around, but we were seeing earlier just a lot of forcing through this top side, and here we are again, just kind of rotating through whichever side is open, but it definitely changes how the offense is played, because here in this long corner, it's the three-man defense is just eating up ADR right now. Finally gets the barrier. Tweed with the flip, gonna have an opportunity, but there in the shorter side, Bertram really excelled in that short corner. Crazy core flying around, going in off a redirect from General Tweed, and bringing us to a 0.5 this set. ADR looking to tear it back here from HMG, who want to finish this game now. They want to go to a game 3. They've got a bit of a mountain to climb, have no business sitting here trying to play extra sets when they don't have to. And you can tell by Zay, he is just absolutely scrapping in this corner here, trying his best to get in. But Bertram is just completely stalwart, unrelenting on the defense.
Yeah, Tragic as well making a small mistake there, hitting it back into the big finish. But the Tofu Fortress, unfortunately there, interrupting the core flip from Twee. Don't want to see that if you are an ADR fan here. Zay Forever trying to get it forward, but doesn't actually get the connection there. The Era NATO is coming out here, does get the core forward, but again, it's not enough to get through this barrier. You have to get through so much, and Bertram at the end of it all, and that is no mean feat here. You really have to go around this dude, but it's so difficult with all of the interceptions happening in the midfield. But a jump and a core flip is one way to do that. It is now the open goal advantage here to HMG. They're trying to get it through here just a little bit more, and they could be on to the final game. Core flip from Zay, the slime, but the log, the strikes, the card, everything comes out. The pass splitter as well. Wallaby in front of the goal with the core flip. Counter flip failed, unfortunately, by Tragic, and it is Tragic indeed. Passing off the drum. Doxy's trying to get it forward up to Zay, but there's no forward offense there because they had to all pull back for that three-man defense. It's really powerful, but it needs to be able to rotate quickly to actually get things done. Passing off the drum here, so much core speed. Zay Forever running forward. Jumping forward is Doxy, but the death touch misses General Twee and Gangsta in front of the goal, but it's not quite enough just yet. The slime gets it forward while Gangsta dribbling off the drum, off the walls. The whiplash is not enough to get it through. Gangsta wins that strike war crucially. General Twee also in the midfield here, and off the drum it goes in. Wallaby Gangsta finding that third all-important point to take this set and put Atlas's diversified resume on the set scoreboard here, and potentially looking to reverse sweep the game to just win the entire match. And Asher has a lot of good things here, from Fighter Flight, Stacks on Stacks, Might of the Colossus. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, I think, he has to deny this Might of Colossus right away. Zay Forever with 2 Size Awakenings and Bulk Up would be an absolute terror. Taking the Reptile Remedy, just boosting the power given by Bulk Up even more. Still terrifying, but not going to be that extra size. General Tweed picking up Stacks, which I think is going to be so relevant I feel like he's been having trouble finding opportunities to, especially into the Juno and the Era. Combine the names there. They have so much coverage, whereas Twee is just one penny. And so the stack's going to supplement his coverage so significantly. All of a sudden, things are looking pretty good for ADR. You know, when they won that one important set, and now they have the means to bring this game back. HMG definitely looking to shut that out, but it's going to be difficult. Doxy picking up Fight or Flight is going to be incredibly nice, but I think they're still struggling to get through Bertram, who is just always, I think, for ADR going to be a big difference maker. This guy will just never let up.
Yeah, it's a tough one to get through either of these teams. And one of the other things that kind of slipped through that draft was Monumentalist Era coming out there with the NATOs. We've seen a lot of them really well done so far, so the extra size will help out. We haven't seen too many just yet because it's been just good awareness for the side of ADR. But core flip 4-star from Bertram there is really nice. Death Touch comes out the card as well for a lot of core speed acceleration. Path Splitter keeps it forward. Doxy not investing the core flip there and still getting a barrier. Really nice to see that. The NATO comes out, hits Wallaby for so much damage just for existing there. Big finish also used. That's going to be, I think, a kill flip it was on to Wallaby Youngsta from Tragic. And really nicely set up here. The pendulum swing, they're trying to get it in the goal, but of course you still have Twee with the core flip there and Bertram in the goal. Core flip used by Juno, the log, the triple take, so many abilities invested, but Wallaby is back on the field. The power play is dissolved. The Tofu Fortress also comes out to keep it forward, and Wallaby's back in this corner with Twee down below with that core flip on the threat. Uses the big finish as well, but doesn't actually get the barrier. Really nice triple man defense that we've been seeing all game long from HMG. And the Death Touch mix-up into the pendulum swing just catches Bertram completely off guard and secures the point here. But all of that for 1 point to HMG. It is so close.
Yeah, a wonderful play from Zay to get that goal, but obviously, like you said, it took so much to get through everything that ADR is putting up, and it's hard to replicate that kind of play. You know, great play, but now, you know, Wallaby on the Asher, much easier to replicate that situation and everything that's going on now. The three-man defense putting up numbers still, just not relenting, but now HMG has to figure out, again, how to continue to get through this. Dubu has a great redirect off the drum, able to catch Tragic and Zay off guard. Zay, I think, noticing what was going on just a moment too late, rushing to try and catch it, but neither member of HMG able to grab that, and ADR puts themselves on the board this set.
Yeah, tied up 1-1 here, but the barrier is gotten. Zay Forever using the core flip there, a little unfortunate of a whiff, but, you know, the barrier does go down, so maybe it was the intimidation tactic that we see on occasion. The big finish, though, is going to answer on the other side. General Twee again with this core flip we see used here, or about to use it here in the corner, gets the barrier. Wallaby with the own core flip there is going to use it to counter the NATOs and the Slime, and so many abilities still up on that Asher, was able to invest the dash and the barrier beam to just secure that through two people. Really well executed by Twee and Wallaby on that offense.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of Astronomics for the fellas there. The flip, the dash, and the primary all coming out, all used into multiple people in that corner. I just a little bit of Asher glory. Like, you still just get to get through there, but Asher now taking down Wallaby, taking a trip to the penalty box here, as we see another power play for HMG. They've been getting these power plays, and I think they've been playing their offense really slow, especially in the last power play that they had in a previous point where they go to set up. And I think that's how they have to do it with the Rasmus, you know, here, whereas ADR is able to play this like super stuff-focused offense. But they're just giving a lot of time to ADR to prepare for it, and it hasn't been super successful this set.
Yeah, it's so difficult to find that success as well, because I mean, with either team, you have to use so many abilities in the midfield by the time you get anywhere to execute the plan, to try and find your win condition. It's so difficult to find anything, but finding things. Twee gets a barrier, big finish, core flip, and just like that, I was saying earlier, this game is so volatile. Each of these teams is so capable and knows their characters and their teammates so well that they're able to accelerate the game at a drop of a hat. But that also means that if you can't counter your opponents, the game will just flip instantly. You will lose your barriers. You will get scored on. And again, so many things available. Going to be the Among Titans pickup here on the Fani, going to make Asher bigger and stronger because of the Might of the Colossus. I think it's a really nice pickup.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Going to be a big one. But speaking of big ones, Zay Forever with a third Size Awakening. That guy's going to be absolutely massive. A recovery drone to boot, going to be having one revive this series, or this set. Going to be incredibly nice. We see a Spark of Power go to Doxy, a little bit of power for the Juno. Hit the core even harder, and a Dash Awakening on Tragic means that guy's going to be sharing the arrow speed that much more. Meanwhile, Bertram picking up an extra special and a glass cannon on Wallaby, but now that's also 0 prize fighter stacks on Wallaby with that big KO coming out.
Yeah, was a really nice find. Just, ooh, and also a nice find is that double barrier from Doxy. It seems that HMG is not ready to give up just quite yet. It is, of course, this all-important 5th set. Whoever wins this does take it, but still early days yet. No points scored either way, but a barrier secured by Twee. The open goal advantage not quite as severe as it was just a couple seconds ago. Doxy with the jump up to counter that triple take, but the Tofu Fortress comes out, and of course, extra special Spark of Focus on this dude. That's going to be coming up so often. Doxy taking a lot of damage with the core flip as well. Arenado is a good counter on that flip. Zay trying to get around, but the triple take again invested here. That twin drive Fini with the hot shot just getting so many cooldowns out. Core flip from Tragic used, but again, it doesn't go anywhere. There's no offense here for HMG. We were talking earlier about how Zay is really good at falling back on the defense, but sometimes it seems it's a little bit too much too often, and there's nothing left. But killing the Asher does give a lot of ability to flip that around. It is now the power play, the opportunity to score. Zay is looking for it, finds almost it, but a great strike from Bertram is able to get it. And unfortunately, Bertram thought he had core flip there, but was just a pixel away from getting it, unfortunately. And that is going to be a goal there, scored by Doxy. Nice find with that red course.
Yeah, really. And again, just the offense for HMG is so hard to get online, but once they're there, once they're set up, it seems so difficult to deal with. Obviously, Bertram not having the flip that he needed to save that one, but still, just Doxy able to throw out these slimes with a ton of core speed, and especially with jump and primary, you know, able to jump, strike, and primary in. We saw it get a double barrier that last point. It's a lot of stuffing potential that she has here, and it's really nice, pairs really well again with Zay's like slower and more methodical play, as you can just see these explosive Juno barriers or goals come out. That being said, ADR does have the net open, is looking to get their offense rolling here, but right now forced to play a little bit more defensive as Wallaby comes back, and now has to deal with this flip and the big finish trying to get through. It's tough, but Tragic has no energy. This could be their chance.
And there they go. Wallaby Gangsta is going to be the one to put it in there for that goal. And it's again tied up 1 point, 1 point, 2 sets, 2 sets. But of course, tying feels a whole lot better if you're on ADR because you are that 1 game up. You have Bertram with that core flip, with that extra special. General Twee as well with the core flip. Seems to just have core flip permanently, even though Twee has been using core flip. That's not just 1 core flip that's been holding. It just, there's so much energy available on this Fini with all of the hits from the triple take with the strikes. Wallaby as well going to secure that barrier. The big finish comes out. The Slime's getting it forward. Zay rushing forward as well, but not enough to get it through. General Twee with the dribble off the triple take. The pendulum swing comes out. The core flip though, Wallaby just barely not able to get the confirm there. Almost has core flip on that Asher though. Somersault comes out. Core flip from Doxy countered with the strike and the log. Triple take comes out on the bottom. Dribble off the drum. Zay Forever trying to play this defense as well. The pendulum swing is red coring it all over the place. The Death's Touch as well, hooking the Asher back just a little bit. But again, this kill flip from Wallaby is insane. The Butching Beam comes out, does shrink the Asher, reduce the power. It's a really nice setup there. But Juno is off the field for another 5 seconds. The mix-up with the card almost perfect, but is caught. The Butching Beam into the Whiplash is a really nice bit of team play there. But in the end, Doxy with a jump is going to defend it. Really nicely done. The red core slime in overtime, and Bertram with a somersault a little bit too late. Core flips from both Zay and Bertram, but Bertram was a little faster on the trigger there. Tofu Fortress comes out as well. The card hits Zay, but doesn't do too much damage just yet. Doxy up at the top here with the slime as well. Zay getting the confirm on the barrier. It's now an open goal on both sides. Can they get the goal here? The answer is not quite yet. The slime is not enough. Pendulum swing not enough. Pass splitter comes out on the other side. Triple take as well. Zay and Twee trying to get it around each other, but they're not quite getting it. The Death Touch into the slime at the top, but Bertram is reading it until the pendulum swing comes out. There's just too many abilities, and HMG puts themselves once again on game point.
Yeah, they've been here before. That last point, they really played incredibly well, just forcing so much offense. I think they've recognized that they've been having trouble trying to get it into the net, trying to get these barriers, and are just trying to go all in on the offense. Gets two right there, open net. They have an opportunity here. Doxy walking in, trying to take the strike for it. Pendulum swing, not quite getting it. Stuffed out by Twee and his flip. And here now ADR has a chance on the offense. But a big flip on the corner, stopped by Bertram. And his summer assault, not letting that go through. Tragic has a flip. But again, HMG is just playing so much more offensively. They have the core on the other side of the map so much here. 2 flips on the board now as well. A lot of damage onto Zay, but they're looking for it. They have to find their offense soon, because they don't want to go to a 0.5 against ADR, who has such a nice, you know, Asher-centered offense that works so well into their team.
Yeah. Core flip comes out from the Asher, but the barrier still stands. Asher, though, goes off the field. Core flip, unfortunately, whiffed there by Zay Forever. A bit of a misclick there, unfortunately. Barrier does go down as well in the power play. Pendulum swing comes out. Doxy not able to get the confirmed. Butching beam, neither. Death touch not being able to get this. Asher's back on the field, gets the barrier instantly as well. The bounce off the drummer really nice with a lot of red core speed here. Big finish comes out, doesn't get too much done, just a little bit of damage onto Zay Forever. Doxy setting up on this top side, but Wallaby as well on the other side of the map. Both forwards trying to get the setup to checkmate the enemy goalie, because you need to check off all options. There can be no possible clear, and unfortunately the Butching beam is not enough to get it past this Asher. The Toku Fortress also comes out. The Air and NATO is really nice up at the top there. The Death Touch gets it around Twee, and it's going to be the Slime from Doxy that gets the point and taking us to 1 game to 1 game. And these teams very evenly matched. And I just want to highlight one thing from that game in particular. Doxy's manual control of the Slimes on some of those last points was insane. We had a manual redirect that actually redirected it was a strike from Doxy, but she placed the strike in between the Slimes that they passed to each other rather than immediately going into the barrier, and it just mixed up Bertram so hard that he could not defend that one. Just want to highlight that one in particular, but everyone in this game played so well.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to highlight Doxy's play that whole game, because I feel like so many barriers and so many goals were achieved because of plays like that Doxy would make, or just other plays where she would sit back and then like jump in and ambush. Even that last goal was just a Slime thrown in unexpected, you know, sitting back and then forcing that in, just diving in at every opportunity to push, and it worked right there. And that means we're going to a game 3 after 2 pretty long games. We saw ADR have a pretty dominant game 1 and a much more evenly matched game 2. So we're gonna have to see if HMG is able to seal this one out in the reverse 2-0, or if ADR will be clutching it up, not letting this first game win that they have go to waste. We will see you then. And welcome to game 3, everyone. We are loading in to Gates of Obscura on this incredibly close series we're seeing from ADR on this extra special cast last start. The same flavor of team that they've been running, this time Wallaby on the Julie. You know, his original character that he was known for. Been seeing a lot of success recently. Maybe enjoying that. Whereas Tragic now on Asher, a melee goalie of all things, and we're seeing a Juno Zentaro forward pair. Big KO coming out from Wallaby on this first point, but the defense going strong for HMG, buying enough time to get Doxy to come back, but now the net is wide open.
Yeah, and I think it's a really nice pickup with Tragic on that Asher, especially with Wallaby being known for that. But of course, it seems that Wallaby is quite deadly on that Julie as well. The Aerodota comes in from General Twee, then, you know, having swapped the characters there. Going to be a little harder to keep track of on that one. But Doxy getting killed there by Wallaby, unfortunately. But Zay Forever does take the blood sacrifice there, managed to get a barrier off the death there. Tragic with the pass putter, just barely hitting the, you know, triple sword angle there at the bottom. The flurry comes out though, and there's not a lot you can do that, especially with a core flip to follow up, even if you do manage to somehow clear it out.
Right, the fiery flurry on top of the goalie is like, hands up, like, I did all I could. Sometimes, like, if you pull out the evade in time, try and clear it, but it's so difficult. It's such a big ask, and so, you know, can't feel too bad losing to the Julie there in that situation.
Yeah, of course it's not ideal though. Doxy taking a lot of damage as well in the back of that. Wallaby now back up to full basically and getting to the forward end here. General Twee with the flip again has been kind of the story of the games. Gangsta getting another kill here. Doxy is not able to stay alive. Tragic with the insta flip. Nice bit of tech there to try and get it through, but doesn't actually get anything too much from it. Buys a lot of time in the power play though. Doxy now back on the field. Safe Harbor using the ult there, but immediately after they got hit by the Bewitching Beam there, so it was a very small Zentaro ult. Wallaby, though, very low on health, potential kill angle here, but not going to be picked up just yet, using the flurry a bit defensively there. Zay also taking a lot of damage from the core flip, too, and that's a very low Zentaro as well. Pass from Doxy, Bewitching Beam hits, Slimes rain down from the heavens, but unfortunately don't get too much done there. Great intercepts from Wallaby and Twee there. Wallaby with a little bit of a drift there, nicely done to get that barrier. Pass Splitter comes out as well. The Token Fortress very forward from Bertram. And the portal pass as well up to Twee, almost getting it through, but just barely, not quite.
Yeah, this game really feeling like my eyes are absolutely glued onto Wallaby. He's been getting a lot of KOs so far. Putting on a beta Julie performance, and with the extra special start, so many fiery flurries are going to be coming out, and that's like a core flip. It's such a great tool for confirming barriers, goals, everything. So I'm set up, I'm watching that guy, and I want to see what he can do here as, hey, not that guy, but Twee putting the ball in right there. Going to be putting ADR up 2-0 this set.
Yeah, I mean, sure, you have to sacrifice your forward, maybe not ideal, but, you know, brawlers are made to die, you know? Live by the sword, die by the sword. You maybe get a kill, you maybe get killed, but at the end of the day, your midfield scores the ball, you got to get a kill, you got to brawl. You're kind of happy with that still. The Aranado takes out half of your enemy brawler's health bar, so, you know, good things are going Wallaby's way.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, sometimes, like you said, you got to die for the cause. A point's a point, and at the end of the day ends. So here, Twee getting a second barrier. Looking phenomenal right here. Doxy close to a flip, able to get it off that orb. But you're going to have to see if it will amount to anything. As Bertram here on this Dubu has just been holding these two barriers eternally. Nothing is getting through this guy, and I think it's a bit of a symptom of HMG and how far they've played back. See, they trying to get in, but the ball goes through the portal, and there, Wallaby able to tap it in right past Tragic. 3-0 in this first set, taking us to draft right away. A very different story than what we saw in the past game.
Yeah, and that's a free Monumentalist for Era, although that would mean that Zentaro could get Explosive Entrance or Ad Rush. There's a deny angle there potentially, but we're going to see how this goes. It's going to be the Explosive Entrance pickup on Zentaro, but that means it's going to be Ad Rush going to Juliet, and that is a terrifying Wallaby Gangsta. And Era actually just opting for the prime time there for more Bewitching Beams. I don't think that's a horrible idea. The Dubu Monumentalist, I remember it being fairly fake a long time ago, but also it is nice to have some core speed on that log and on the walls. We've seen a couple of kills on it as well, so maybe Bertram is a knower on that one, especially with the extra special. So gonna see how that pans out, but definitely unorthodox to go with that instead of the Monumentalist Era.
Yeah, definitely. But nothing. I'm looking at nothing in this draft more than Adrenaline Rush being picked up by Wallaby. That the name of the game for HMG is don't get dash punched, and you know, again, a lot of damage, a lot of dash punches came out in that first set for Wallaby. Is going to be that's just like a complete win condition, because there we are looking to deny the orb from Wallaby. Zay gets punished, knocked off the field, Adrenaline Rush proc, and now this guy's moving a mile a minute, looking to get one barrier. Looking to get two in this power play. The Adrenaline Rush proc fades away. Still looking low. Almost gets knocked out. But now HMG is just in such a difficult situation as compared to where they were before.
Yeah, really nice dodge from Wallaby as well. The strike shot comes out, but it's countered by a Slime. General T trying to pass up to Tragic. Actually gets it around. I was thinking was not trying to pass to Tragic, but did kind of. Bertram as well, not having to use the core flip there, was able to get up there in time to strike that one. Wallaby down the bottom here, very staggered. The somersault into Soren angle almost was really nice from Bertram there to get the defense. The Oni's blade countered by a core flip. That is a kill onto the Juliet. It's a power play here for HMG. They're trying to get things done, but it's not quite enough just yet. The power play stalls out. Bertram actually kind of countered by the Aranado there, but it does buy a lot of time, and Julie's back on the field now. Zay Forever with the core flip is actually going to whiff that dash, but Tragic, oh, the defense from Bertram was insane there against the odds, I will say it. But in the end, the Oni's blade from Zay is going to secure that one. But what a hold before that. Bertram with the strike shot counter on the core flip from the portal was just amazing.
Yeah, that is exactly what you come to expect from a player like Bertram. Immaculately done. Able to stop out 2 core flips all by himself with his own, and just, you know, beautiful. But a flip coming out from Doxy, shutting down Wallaby right here. And it seems like HMG has an idea of how they want to win this game, and it's KO Wallaby. You know, we've got the era that Twee is piloting, and that's going to try and funnel everything through Wallaby, who kind of has to be this one-man army. Meanwhile, Bertram sits back, defends, you know, all is said and good, but without Wallaby, they have so little offense. They have virtually none. You know, what's the era gonna do? So I really like that game plan. It's going to be difficult to execute. You know, it might take a few sets to get online, but they're doing well so far, so can't argue with that. Wallaby's game just got a whole lot harder.
Yeah, a lot harder, but the other thing as well is you can just kill the opponents. That's one way to do it. Into the core flip, into the barrier, into the infinite speed there on Wallaby. Just a really nice segment there. But unfortunately, losing a barrier off the power play is unfortunate. General Twee with the pass up to Wallaby. The dash punch isn't actually enough to get it. Bertram holding on to this flip. I'd almost like to see it used just to accelerate the play a little bit, but is holding on to that defensively. And he has been holding defensively pretty well, so I'm not going to give him too much flack for it. But we see General Twee with the Butching Beam trying to get it forward. Zay forever with the core flip on the Centauro. Not going to be able to invest it just yet to get anything. The Oni's blade a little bit too ambitious there, going right on the goalie, but the log was really nice to keep it away from that entire area. The Tofu Fortress comes out, blocks off the top side. Wallaby cannot get the intercept there. General Twee trying to help on the defense here as well. Is able to get the clear there, and it goes all the way over. The little stun on Wallaby just to make sure that Tragic can't do anything. But really nicely done from the side of ADR there.
Yeah, very well played, especially like you mentioned, the stun right there. Just covering all options. You know, if Tragic, even if he could make it there, we're not letting it. We're not going to find out. Why bother trying to stop that? And Tragic actually taken down by a stray NATO. Unfortunate there. Going to be taking a little trip as his forwards are left to defend. And Zay with the flip, able to get it out, going through the portal, almost taking it a barrier, but Bertram there, able to save it. Getting active on the midline, and there are so many flips for ADR here. Well, one fewer, but Wallaby close to his, and then, of course, Bertram with his immaculate flip aura is so intimidating. You have to get through this guy. Eventually, to get the barriers, to get the goals, you have to get through this guy. And Wallaby not feeling the same about Tragic as he's able to flip, strike it through, and then follow up with the Fiery Flurry, covering, again, every option. We are not going to like try and skill check Tragic to see, like, can he do it? We are making sure that this core is going in the net, and I really appreciate that. That's going to be 2-1 for ADR here.
Yeah, Julie does go down there, which is, again, you're talking about, it's a bit of a win condition here for HMG. They're trying to get things done. Tragic playing very far up as well, but they just can't seem to get through Bertram very easily. They get one barrier, but they invested so much for that, and that was a power play, so keeping one barrier alive is still pretty amazing for that. But this barrier on the other side as well, even with the Flurry and the Arenado invested, only gets one barrier out of all of that. Oni's Blade as well coming out there with passive, countered by a log. Bertram has really been good on these logs. Tofu Fortress as well, so hard to get through. Zay Forever looking a little low as well, but so is General Twee there. Bewitching Beam comes out as well. The dash punch onto the court, trying to get it back into this bottom corner that we've seen so much success on the offense from ADR, and Zay Forever with the mix-up, but the somersault gets it, and Bertram is just unstoppable on this. Has to core flip away the slimes. That is finally the core flip down on Bertram, but it took so long that by the time he's forced into that kind of situation again, he might have the core flip anyways, so really well done. But it's now a bit of a timer here for the side of HMG, and they are making use of it. Great red core slimes there from the Doxy, putting in the work, but the kill flip from Wallaby is going to start another power play here for ADR. Gets the barrier as well. That is an open goal on both sides. The air nade comes out. The core flip is really nice from Doxy. Good patience to wait out the dash punch as well. Bertram up the top there. The pass not intercepted by the strike shot. Nicely caught by Wallaby, prevent from happening. Woni's blade is going to be dodged there from Wallaby. Witching beam caught by the barrier beam. And it's going to be General Twee with the flip, sending it through. And now, we've been talking about this Adrenaline Rush Wallaby gangsta here, but if there's some kind of kill, any kind of damage here, like a 1-2 punch, Julie is the last pick, but right now, Wallaby's been getting all these kills off of just pummelers with no damage awakenings at all.
Yeah, if HMG allows any of that through, a Super Surge, a 1-2 punch especially, even Might of Colossus, that will be very difficult. What I would really like is, yeah, 1-2 punch going to Doxy here. That's really nice. Super Surge, though, is up. That could be big. And yeah, Wallaby will be taking that. Stinger and the Might of Colossus denied. I think Doxy taking Super Surge and Zay taking 1-2 punch would have been perfect. Because then, even if Wallaby picks up Stinger, that's fine, because he's not staggering people to KO. He's super surging. He is doing it with just the raw dash punch, and so I think this is a really difficult situation for HMG to be in right now. But though the goal has gone in, I want to highlight the team player on Tragic was really good that last set. Picked up and is just a great way to rotate the core away from the Juliet, who's a melee character. You shouldn't have very many opportunities to show up and try and catch these out players. And now with the 1-2 punch as well, is very much the same story. More core speed to get it away from the Julie. Problem is, she keeps finding these dash punch KOs. And again, HMG just has to just steer clear of the walls. The core can be there. It doesn't matter, because the moment that you get dash punch, you know, it's looking pretty over. They were able to defend like their lives depended on it, because at this point they do. You know, kept both barriers, but still, just HMG is in such a precarious spot. ADR has all the tempo, all the momentum, everything they need. 2 flips to get 2 barriers. Like, it's terrifying.
But there we go. Wallaby is dead and off the field. Twee also a little bit low, but doesn't matter. The Witching Beam is able to get it through, and now ADR 1 point away. I didn't even realize that we are indeed in that third set of Game 3, so if they get 1 more point, a few more dash punches. And one of the other things I want to highlight, Bertram has been playing so far forward and then using this extra special strike shot monumentalist missile prop build to just send a giant tofu fortress into the wall and lock the core in the corner time after time, making sure that HMG just has to invest all of their abilities for a few seconds just to prevent their barriers from falling, and then there's nothing left, so Wallaby can get all of these confirms.
Yeah, just great synergy there. Bertram has such an offensive threat when he walks up. And yeah, just free reign for Wallaby to just eat everything that Bertram leaves behind. He's kind of eating a lot of damage in this corner. You know, HMG piloting the Zentaro in the corner and the Asher and all these characters exactly as they wanted, but they can't get this barrier. They honestly, burn flip from Bertram, are looking to KO him at this point, because what better way to get through than to not have that guy there anymore. They call that one the Bartoad strat, and Bertram able to heal back up. Is left pretty unaffected, but that's the barrier open. This could be it. This could be the final point of the game if ADR is able to get their offense together. HMG has to make something happen now.
That they do. It's going to start really nicely, opening up the goal, and the Tofu Fortress a bit of a whiff that time. The dash punch also fails. Wallaby has the flip, but it has to get to him first. If you can just score this goal, that puts a reset, gives you a lot more time. There are a lot of red cores. We, of course, do have a lot of opportunities here, but it's going to be Wallaby with the strike shot from downtown, and you just cannot cover the entire goal. Really nicely played by ADR, making Game 2 seem even, and Game 1 seem even almost like a fluke with how close they were. Dominating fashion in Game 3 from Atlas's Diversified Resume. Not to say that it was not well played by Heavy Metal Gundam, but in the end, the decisiveness of this victory speaks for itself.
Yeah, Twee awarded with MVP, and on 185 redirects, we can really see he was everywhere at once, able to support Wallaby so well. And 8 KOs. 8 KOs is the other half of the story. Wallaby, especially with that early adrenaline rush, was just able to capitalize so much on these dash punches, able to take people out and force not only great power plays, but adrenaline rush fueled power plays, which really, especially with the extra special, just had to have been a nightmare for HMG to deal with. So really well played to both teams. Just incredibly difficult game. ADR, absolutely one of the favorites across NASA in general. You know, made it to the very last stage of landing. Not quite to Nassau, but is one of the teams favored to win the whole thing. So well played to them. I believe they are now 3-0 in the standings. And that's another big win under their belt.
Yeah, but, you know, to say that, HMG had a phenomenal performance against ADR, taking them to Game 3, playing so many solid points. It's one of those things, it looks dominating, and it was dominating, but at the same time, that can be one mistake in the character map draft, one mistake in the Awakening draft, where you end up with Wallaby enabled on this Gates of Obscura Juliet with ad rush, pummelers, extra special, able to just do insane things. So really well played for HMG. I do not want to discount those previous games, and I'm looking forward to what they have in the rest of the season, but I think that's about all for tonight, unless you have any last words over there, Yoshi.
Nope, I'm right there with you. I agree 100%. But that'll be match 4 of NASA coming to a close. We are revving up for Flying Blobos versus Polar Cortex next to end off the NASA segment of this stream. It'll be with different casters. You're finally, I'm done. I'm not going to be on NASA anymore. We flushed that out. Hey, had a great time, but can only last so long. But stay tuned for that. That should be coming up right now. You know, I have to wait for like the weekend to watch this. You'll be watching that right now, so don't go anywhere. And hey, bye.
See y'all.